Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. You don't know, my name is Chad, taking dive world sports. And welcome to the recap for the NHL. That's right. Game 5 Stanley Cup Finals is complete. We have a brand new Stanley Cup champion. First time ever winning the Stanley Cup. And how well did I do compared to what actually happened? Before I dive into my misery, that is, playoff prediction, let's go ahead and give me that thumbs up, especially like the content provider. Really helps, really please you two guys, really help this channel out. You also subscribe. A lot of you guys review my work. I love you all for doing that. Not many of you subscribe. It does cost you a dime. Helps me provide more content value for you. Now, in my prediction-wise, when it comes to these playoffs, I've been off quite a bit. The start of the season, I had Edmonton over Carolina, which I think was a very solid pick because both teams finished very strong at the end of the season. Carolina was actually the number 2 team in the league, number 2 team in the Eastern Conference. So the start of the season comes along. I jumped on the Boston bandwagon because of what they did throughout the season, their historical season, and they just fell apart in the first round against Florida. Suffered a President's Trophy curse. I went back to Edmonton. Then Vegas knocked out. Then I went to Carolina, and then they got knocked out. Then I went to Florida. I mean, it was a constant evolving process in this postseason, and one is to do with the miraculous run of the Florida Panthers, who was the last team to get into the playoffs. They made this historical run, knocking off some of the best teams in the league, to include the Boston Bruins, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. 3 of the top 4 teams in the NHL this past season, they beat. And they beat Toronto and Carolina handedly. Vegas was just doing Vegas. They were just moseying along. I thought they would have a good season. I didn't think they'd have this type of season. I knew they'd win their first round series, but I didn't think they'd make it out of the second. So heading into the Stanley Cup Finals, I was looking at what Florida has been doing. They had just been tearing apart the league, knocking off the top offensive teams in the league, and going, the way they are performing, they are the team to beat. But I knew Vegas was a mirror team in terms of how they play, how the goaltender's been performing. They got their star player, and they got some great supporting cast. I mean, they still have 6 original misfits from that first year when the team went to the Stanley Cup Finals on their first season. So there's a lot of similarities. They do a lot of great forechecking, a lot of back checking. They're very aggressive defensively, and they play Florida's game plan. So I thought this was going to be a very evenly matched series. I thought it would be a low-scoring series, and I thought the goaltenders would be out there stopping everything they possibly can. One goalie was actually stopping everything he pretty much came across. Florida scored no more than 3 goals a game. That is impressive. This is a very, very well coached team. They know how to pass along, so we don't have to worry about Kachuk, but for Hagee. So there's a couple different players you have to worry about with Florida, and they was able to just neutralize them. Kachuk wasn't even in Game 5. He was out for an injury. And then you look at Vegas. I mean, Jack Eichel, all those 6 years in Buffalo, never sniffed the playoffs. His first full healthy season with Vegas, the team's in the Stanley Cup Finals. But he wasn't really much of the focal point. It was like a collective of players. Marchessault and Stone were some of the key aspects in getting the Golden Knights where they're at. And watching these games and how quickly the Golden Knights jumped out on Florida quickly. I mean, they took the first two games, 12-4 combined scoring. It was like the Golden Knights just outplayed Florida in every single aspect in those first two games. There was nothing that Florida could have done that would have even anything else. They couldn't find a game plan to get everything going. Things got heated. Things got testy. And this continued through most of the series. The games go down back to sunrise. The Panthers bounced back in Game 3, tied it late in that game. It's in overtime. Went in overtime. Game 4 was another close game. I thought Florida had an opportunity to tie it and send it in overtime again, but couldn't. And they got testy right at the end. Even Aiden Hill got involved in a little ruckus. I don't think it was a Game 4, but there's definitely one where Aiden Hill was actually throwing punches. That's the Golden Knights goaltender, mind you. But the Golden Knights won the close game. And those two games in Florida, I thought that was how the series was going to go. I think the first two games I thought they were a fluke. I was like, okay, once Florida's done, okay, now it's back to what Florida wanted. Slow down the pace a bit and keep going. It was all a ruse, I think. Because the Knights got the game back in Vegas. Vegas was just electrifying. I mean, inside the arena, outside the arena. It was packed outside the arena. It was wall-to-wall humanity out there. The fans were just screaming at. The second period, Florida left. They had no fight. Vegas was just scoring on anything and everything. And they just declawed the Panthers in the second period. The fans were screaming, "We want the cup," in the second period. It was 6-1 after 2. Vegas had this in hand. Nothing Florida could have done really could come close to challenging the Knights. I mean, then they scored and okay, whatever. It's a gimme goal. And then once again, Vegas scored again. And then Florida scored. I mean, when they scored, it was an empty. I mean, Florida pulled the goalie at 6 minutes. And they had to. I mean, there's no question about it. They had to pull it. They had to do something. They had to get the momentum back in their favor. Try to do this miraculous comeback, the same comeback they did against Boston the first round, where they were down 3-1 and came back to win that series. They're looking to do it again, but this time to lift the Stanley Cup. Stone, who already had 2 goals already, had a couple tries at an empty netter, finally got it. So you had a hat trick in Game 5. Bobrovsky, could not stop anything Vegas was doing. There were so many times that Vegas was so prolific in keeping the puck in the Panther zone. The Panthers couldn't change out. They were gassed. Bobrovsky couldn't do much of anything because he was gassed. They were just deflated. They were chasing that laser light on the floor way too much. And the cat was tired. It was panting. It was ready for them to go night-night. And the Knights made sure of that. They obliterated Florida in Game 5, 9-3, to win the Stanley Cup in their 6th season in the National Hockey League. The owner predicted winning the Stanley Cup in 6 years. So he had the fortitude to get the great team. He had the great team that first year. Everything just bounced right for him. Only 6 remaining from that team still there. They all were the first ones to lift the cup. Manchester won the Conn Smythe Trophy, being one of the original Misfits and one of the key players for the Vegas run in this postseason. If the Knights if the Knights can keep this team intact, they are in for a long haul. This team should be still playing for the Cup quite a while, and it's just a continued aspect of teams, new teams coming into the fray to challenge for the Cup. Like I said, it's the second time 6 years they've been in. They're the quickest true expansion team to win the Stanley Cup quicker. They did it quicker than Philadelphia, even though technically Edmonton's quicker because they did it in 5, but Edmonton also was a professional team years before joining when they're part of the World Hockey Association. So when they got merged into the NHL, they already had a well-established roster. So even though technically Edmonton is the quickest, but I think I'll go more with Philadelphia being the true expansion. I mean, there's been some other teams that have done it quicker, like the Bucks and Diamondbacks have done it a lot quicker. But this is a testament of what Seattle could look like. Look what Seattle just did in their second year. Made a huge, impressive run in the playoffs. So maybe they have a nice coming run here in the next, 4 years. Who knows? But hats off to Vegas for winning the Cup. So it's just a outstanding series been taking place. Definitely the only downside I think for this one is the amount of time between games. I think that and the NBA Finals both had just huge gaps between games, and it takes away a little bit from the experience. Just a little bit. I mean, if you're a fan of these two teams, you're in it, whatever. But, as not a fan of these two teams, but a fan of hockey in general, I figured this should have been, played a little bit quicker. You should be playing should be having Stanley Cup Finals in the middle of June. I'm sorry. Because they have a very short turnaround when it comes to the NHL off season. So I think the NHL needs to find ways to kind of shorten that time frame for the playoffs, and that way they're a little bit longer in the off season, gives them a little bit more time to rest. But that's just me personally. That's a different topic for a different time. But hats off to once again to Vegas for winning it. I have a feeling they might win another one here very shortly. Especially able to keep the team intact, especially able to keep Adin Hill, and he continues to do his trajectory he's doing. A little, unknown about that one because he do have quick, but he's just there for a veteran support. Long time LA King goalie, also 2-time Stanley Cup winner. And also his partner in crime, Martinez, was also there. Those two are now with Vegas. Now both have their third ring. I know Leonard's another one. That's their prime goalie. So Vegas has some off-season moves to kind of worry about. They had a lot of goaltending by committee, so they'll find out which ones are going to be their premier or their primary, should I say, goalies coming up. We'll have to see what happens, but so I think Vegas is going to be back here again shortly. I'm not going to make any predictions now, but they're definitely going to be there. I think if Florida maintains where they're at, I think Florida might make another nice run again. But there you go. Once again, completely wrong when it comes to these playoff predictions. And not much else I can really say about that one. Vegas took it to Florida, declawed the Panthers. They just completely took them out of their game completely. They did that in the second period, and that was it. Florida was done. Cooked. That was it. Nice Stanley Cup champions. Let me know down below what you think. Do you think this is a start of a new dynasty? Or are we going to have a new champion next year? I'm going to bet more new champion next year, but we definitely will see Vegas again battling for it. Let me know down below. Once you're down there, make sure you hit the thumbs up once again. You can go share this video with friends and family to help promote this channel out. Once you subscribe, make sure you click that bell icon and turn on your notifications. Let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.